All right, I'd like to call to order the Board of Directors Committee of a Whole for February 20th, 2025. Let us stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will do roll call. Come on up, roll on in. We'll get ready to do roll call. Director Washington.
Present. Excuse me.
Director Neal. Present. Director McLaren.
Present.
And Director Ham. I give you time. Yeah,
thank you. Present. I'm sorry to be late.
President Amanda, President Director Morales is on her way. All right, that is our roll call. And at this time, we'll give it over to Dr. Sutton for our presentations.
Okay, I don't know how you want to do it, but we're going to have facility supervisor first.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
That's a good mic right there. So just a real quick facilities report, and this report doesn't really reflect on all that we have going on throughout the school district. So some of the key things that I jotted down is just some of the things that we're doing in this magnificent school district we have here. So for Chester High, so for the boys and the girls locker room, that is 90% completed. One of the things we're waiting for is the completion of the bathrooms and some plumbing issues, and that'll be completed. We're expecting for that to be completed within the next month or two, with a little bit of cushion for the contractor, so that'll be updated as soon as that's completed. So for the cheerleaders locker room, that went under design, and when it went under design, by us wanting so much for these young ladies that use that facility there, we kind of put the design out and it went over budget. So what we're going to do now is we're going to redesign it. We're not going to, take no shortcuts, but we want to make sure that this room is something that the cheerleaders will be proud of here and forever. So we're working on that, so I'll update you guys once that's completed. That's the girls' cheerleaders locker room upstairs. All right? So Chester High roof. We have a grant for that. We're working on getting the roof fixed. We've been very fortunate to not have a lot of plumbing issues with all the rain we've been having, so we've been blessed with that. But we are coming around the corner and doing some things at Chester High. One under the roof, the girls' cheerleader locker room, and the boys and girls locker room. Also for the girls' locker room at Chester High School, they're getting a new washer and dryer. So we're working on some plumbing issues there before we start bringing in that new stuff right there. So as you can hear, there's a lot of exciting things going on in Chester High School. So here's the black eye right here, and I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but I'm just gonna put it out there. So I wanna say the early parts of February, we experienced a motor failure with the boiler down in the boiler room, which caused us to lose some time for the school and staff, for the students and staff, which was very unfortunate. And that's something that we're working on. We're going to be better with handling situations like that, preventative maintenance and all that. So I apologize for the inconvenience that it caused the staff and the students. So we're working on them type of issues as well. So that was the one thing about Chester High that I was a little upset with. So for Toby Farms, the overall renovation is completed. We had the last bit of the training today for the HVAC system that's there. Also, at Toby Farms, we're looking at putting in some new bathrooms throughout the whole school district. The whole school. Thanks to some grants and funding that our team has been working so hard on, and I really appreciate the team that we have in place. And I want to say thank you guys for all the hard work you've been doing to help out with this report. So we're expecting that to be this summer. Of course, everyone has to be out of school, so we're working on the bathrooms. We want to make sure that the students have some, and staff has some nice bathrooms to come back to in September. All right? Okay, so going to the School of the Arts. School of the Arts, and this is one of Dr. Means pet peeves that, if I don't get it done, I don't know if I'll be here next year giving this report. The floor there inside the dance room, it means a lot, not only to me and Dr. Amin, but to the kids that go there. I go there, I visit, I see them playing, but unfortunately the floor needs repairs. So we're currently waiting for 3 quotes to come back for the repairs of that floor. All right, so we're working on that. Also at Coosa, we're getting a new boiler. The boiler there is outdated. We don't want to experience some of the things that we've experienced here, so that boiler is getting changed out once again from the team with the environmental grant. So we changed the boiler out with that. And also, some of the things that we're doing at Chestnut Grange School District, at Coosa, is that we're changing out some of the tiles, and I'll get back to that in a second as I go down this report. So for STEM, they have a space at STEM that they consider the maker space, and we found out that over there that there's no real heating and cooling system in this room. So we're designing something that can go inside that room and possibly give us some heating and cooling. So that's for STEM. So back over to Main Street. We received an environmental grant this year for the removal of asbestos tiles. So just to give y'all a short history on asbestos tiles are 9x9 tiles. And these 9x9 tiles at the bottom of them, back in the day when they did code and everything, there was no real code for how you put tile down. So under that tile, the 9x9, this is like different. Under the 9x9 tile is some adhesive they used to use. It can only be disturbed if you push it and push it and push it, and then it goes in the air and the asbestos goes out. So the environmental grant said that we can change out that type of stuff. So we're working on getting all the asbestos removed out of not just that school, but also at the Coosa school, because there's a couple of rooms that have the 9x9 tiles in it. So that pretty much completes my report. We good? Any questions?
The asbestos issue, you just spoke on,
Yes.
is this the first time we felt dealing with that? Because asbestos, I'm thinking that that's something that was been in the past. Has that been addressed previously, or?
So I don't think it's been addressed previously. So what happens is they had this thing called the HARA report, and it comes out every 3 years. And during these HARA reports, they go around and identify schools that had environmental, issues. So in the HARA report, it says that Coosa has asbestos tile flooring, and Main Street also has it. So with the help of the team, we were able to get a grant to start moving some of the stuff out of these places.
Yeah, okay. And those are the only two?
Those are the only two that's been identified through the HARA report, yes. Coosa and Main Street. Yeah, two of the older schools.
Who gets to use the washer and dryer?
So the guys already had their own washer and dryer on their side of the locker room. The women, they have one, but it's not functional, and there are some plumbing issues that we have to address. So it was approved for to get a new washer and dryer there. So I guess that would be a question, coach, teacher, staff, I don't know, but they're getting one because theirs is outdated and it needs to be changed out. And we believe in that Title IX because we want to make sure that everybody's playing on an even playing field.
Mr. Robinson, did you say that there is a grant, or one has to be written, or is it already, we already have it for the environmental?
Yes, there's already a grant. We already have the grant. We've been actually meeting up with teams to go over there and take a look at some of the things that we have concerns with. So the grant is in. Molly wants to speak on that.
And how much is the grant?
The grant comes from DCD, and it's $819,000.
DCD?
Department of Community Economic Development.
You said 800 and?
$819,000.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Nope.
We good? I want to say thank you to everyone, and once again, thanks to my team who's been nothing but support. You know, sometimes it gets me in trouble, but yeah, I want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you.
Next we have Dr. Parker, curriculum instruction.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So the curriculum and instruction team would like to share a few updates with you, particularly around pre-K counts for this upcoming board agenda meeting. We are working with some external partners to help our classrooms with their EPERS review, which is the Early Childhood Rating Scale. Those reviews are in progress. That helps our district monitor our programs and help us to provide support for our teachers and make sure that the programs that we are offering our students are effective. And so those are happening now. They conclude next week. We also are looking to renew our creative curriculum for pre-K counts and My Teaching Strategy, which is the virtual or the online companion to creative curriculum. That will be coming up for renewal as well. Additionally, we are updating our district's continuity of education plan, particularly around the pre-K count students, to meet our requirement for the 180-day requirement. As you guys are aware, our district is now using hours, 900 hours for elementary school, and I believe 990 hours for high school. However, pre-K count still mandates that we have a 180-day requirement. And to do that, we are allowed to use a flexible instruction plan, which we are proposing to provide our teachers and students with additional pre-K count specific curriculum that is mobile, that they can use at home if necessary. So we're excited about that. Also, the CNI team has received some RFPs for high impact tutoring that we hope to implement throughout the district next school year. We are currently reviewing those proposals as a team, and we hope to have a decision made for our upcoming meeting. And finally, I just wanted to share that the spelling bee was a huge success this year. It lasted 3 hours this year, which is huge for us. Our younger students actually were continuing to compete up beyond an hour. So we were super excited about that. It was a very long night, but a very exciting night because our students continued to spell, words through the 300s. So we were very excited about that. Have any questions?
I have a question
Sure.
for you and Dr. Sutton. The last time we spoke, we talked about the fact that the progress of our students that go from Chester High to higher education institutes are not tracked. And I was wondering if that's something that we could give some thought to.
Absolutely, and we will, as an entire team, we will work on that. I know we did talk about that last year, and that is a part of our discussion in terms of action planning around what that would actually look like and what kind of supports we would need, what kind of tools we would need, and who we would need to contact to make sure that we can keep sort of a track, so to speak, on when students graduate from high school, where they go after that, and do they graduate from college, and how do we get that information. You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
For those programs that we put in place last year, how are the students doing? Are we tracking that?
Specifically,
Math.
First in math maybe, or iReady?
When we got our scores last year, we purchased quite a bit of curriculum for math, reading as well. But I was just curious. I didn't really hear about did our scores increase?
So you should know that we monitor instruction and how students are doing 3 times a year, right? So in a sort of interim way, so that we can see a snapshot, like how they're doing throughout the school year, and then we also use the end of the year standardized testing.
I'm sorry, they test in March, right after spring break or something?
I believe it's April this year, but yes.
So
So that's a standardized test, but we also use interim testing as well. So we use iReady for that at the K-8 level, and MAP testing for high school.
Was there any improvement in our standard tests statewide?
PSSAs wise, the end of the year.
What the students take right at, I think it's bad that they take it right after we come back from spring break, but they do take a state test. Was the scores any better?
I would say there were varying degrees of success that we experienced as a district. I can say that as a whole, the district did well in terms of growth. We are, as you know, considerably below the actual target, but we can tell that there is work happening because there is growth being shown in our PVAS data, which is a growth indicator that the state uses.
I guess so is that spelling bee.
Well, yes. I mean, we were quite surprised that it was as long as it was, but it was good. It was good. It was good to see, and good to see how many children were participating. So that's an indicator as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Special ed?
Ms. Gethers.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just have a few things. The business office has been fairly busy the last couple of weeks. We've been preparing for monitoring, federal monitoring. We've also been having budgeting and negotiation meetings. So we've been fairly busy. Just wanted to remind some reminders. The homestead applications are due March 1st. If you get that question, let people know that they're due March 1st. We've been sending out the applications as we get them from the county, the instructions from the county, but we seem to be getting a whole lot of questions about that. So let them know it's March 1st, and if they need an application, they can contact the business office or the front desk at 1350. Next month. So the last date for tax revenue was this December 31st, of course, 2024. So January, February, March, they tend to be the school district lean months because we're not getting as much as that revenue, and the revenue that comes from the delinquent taxes have not come in yet. So the district is aggressively looking at what we can pay and what we can delay, if you will, until the next month or so. So we're doing some proactive responses to these few lean months, and typically after about March, April, we're back set. I have in my hand the documents for payables. I'll just leave one in there so if you want a copy. It's just a list of all the vendors we paid for the month as well. And as far as upcoming agenda item, one of the new items that we're considering is going into a partnership with an organization called GSL Consulting Firm, and they are a grant consulting firm that will help school districts find grants that will improve capital projects. They'll identify the projects, they'll do the negotiations, they'll help you get the grant, they'll actually do the paperwork. So it's a pretty comprehensive partnership that we're looking at, and as a result, they've even built into the pricing that we would not have to pay them up front. It would be all part of the grant process. That would be on the upcoming agenda after the review with the receiver. And I believe that's all I have. You have any questions?
So we don't know what they would charge to
We do. They charge a percentage of the grant.
percentage of what they
So what they go out and do once we're awarded once they do that whole process of the awarding of that grant, it's a percentage of the grant.
Do we know what the percentage is?
We do. It'll be on the agenda. We do. I just want to, and the reason I'm concerned because it's still in approval process. So.
All right.
Where are we on our audits? Are we on our deliverables to our financial deliverables to the state? Are we caught up?
No. So we're not caught up with our audits. We're still working on the 2021 audit. We're much closer than we were. We actually received, I forgot what the papers are called, but we received a notification from the auditors that they're preparing. There's still some things that we have to deliver. We spoke with the representative from Witham, who's our financial company that's helping us with the audits, and they're still working on that process.
2021?
2021. So, and that's the challenging year for us because it was the pandemic year. It was all of that, and I'm so sure that once we get past that year, the other years are not going to take that long at all. So, you're welcome.
I do have a question about the charter payments. Have we, since whenever it was we came back from court, it's been discrepancies in how much we're going to pay them, how much we owe them back. What do we have an amount that we're paying to them right now, and what does that amount encompass?
Is that in reference to the agreement with Chester Community Charter? So right now we're paying what the agreement says. I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, they're still working out the logistics and with legal. But as of now, we're paying what the agreement says.
A question. I know that there's some people that have moved into the area, but they're not familiar with the process of the homestead. You said that media were sending out applications. How do they?
So if you've expressed interest in getting an application to in media, then they will send a notice to us, and we'll actually mail that application out. So that's one way you can get the application. The other way is you can go online, and if you Google Homestead Application PA, it'll take you to a website. You can print that out.
I thought there was an age requirement.
It is. It's not like everybody. There's an age requirement. There's an income requirement.
So Homestead Application PA?
PA, yep. And it'll take you right to the website. Or you can call the office and we'll print it out and you can pick it up. Or email it to you if they have email. I know some of the seniors don't use email.
Anybody else? Yeah? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I just have a couple updates for special education, some new partnerships that we have. Our 12 Plus program has started working and coordinating with Ms. Bowser and the Victory Closet, which is the closet that we have all of our supplies for our students and families who are receiving services under McKinney-Vento. And so they started working with her on employability skills, and so that started last week and that will continue. So I'm excited that we have started that. The other thing is we partnered with the Office of Developmental Disabilities to provide resources for families and for students to get services through their office. Through them, we have also, we're going to conduct a professional development for our school psychologist, because it's important for a student to get services through the Office of Developmental Disabilities. There has to have certain things in the evaluation report for them to qualify for services. So we're going to work with our school psychologist through this office to ensure that the evaluation is always robust so we can get these services if they qualify. One of the other things that we were able to do is we had 2 of our speech and language pathologists. They were trained in the SET process, which is a process for students. There's lots of different layers to that, but these speech pathologists were trained for augmentative communications. Currently, if we have a student who needs that type of service, we have to contract it out to the DCIU. Now we have our own speech pathologist who can come in and do it for us, so great things.
We have a speech pathologist?
We do. We have 7 speech pathologists. Yes. Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Dr. Wilson. Good evening.
Good evening.
So just a couple of items. One, we have been working with the St. Joseph's University Prevention Academy, and so they started work with our 5th grade students in the month of February. They provided lessons on avoiding drug and alcohol use. They provided lessons in the classrooms, as well as some follow-up activities. This month, they're working with our 8th grade students, and so they'll be going around to, in the month of March, they'll be going around to the 8th grade classrooms, providing lessons and support as well. The reason why this is important is because the funding for these activities is coming from the opioid settlement, and so many schools in Delaware County are participating. It gives an opportunity to provide some initial support, and then our hope is to build out from there so that along with our other partners, we can continue to make sure that our students are aware of the dangers of drug and alcohol use and some alternative coping strategies so that they can be healthier beings, and that's a primary goal of ours. In addition to that, we are continuing to work with the DCIU around PBIS implementation. So we had an assessment that was done. Several of our schools scored above 80%, which means that they have a high implementation rate. And so that was based on surveys that was conducted with all school staff members, including teachers and climate, et cetera. And so that was a part of the ongoing work from the DCIU. On March 12th, they will be providing additional meetings and training with several schools. So 3 of our schools are having specialized training around PBIS to support their implementation at a Tier 1 level. And so that will continue throughout the spring as well. And then lastly, we are continuing, of course, our MTSS multi-tier system of support implementation across all buildings. And so we are really pleased at many of our buildings in terms of level of implementation, that schools have plans that students are engaged in with our mental health professionals, our social workers, our counselors, our reading specialists, have plans for students. There are over 725 intervention plans, which means that students have plans with respect to SEL, behavior, ELA, math, and other academics, and those plans are progress monitored, so they're updated either weekly or bi-weekly so that we can see the progress. And then additionally, we can also see whether or not students are growing on iReady. Of course, at the end of the year, we'll be able to see on PSSA or MAP scores as well, but we're able to track student progress on those plans as well. And so, again, we're just continuing to strengthen the level of implementation. And then we have some additional support that we're hoping to provide to schools upcoming before the end of the year, but those are still works in progress. Are there any questions? Yes.
You said for avoiding drugs, it was 4th grade, and then you're going into 8th grade?
5th and 8th grade.
5th?
Yes.
For the intervention plans, I'm happy to hear about 725. Is that those who are receiving special services and those without them, or?
These are students who do not have IEPs. So in addition to the students who have IEPs, which are generally not directly in MTSS, it's possible, but most of their needs are addressed through their IEP meetings, so that wouldn't be a part of MTSS. But these are students who are not receiving specialized services, who are receiving different levels of support. So for instance, our students who are receiving reading assist, those are Tier 3 plans at a high level. We have students who are receiving, of course, support from reading specialists. We have, of course, teachers in the classroom. So some schools are doing more of homogeneous grouping where there's instruction being provided based on the student's level during the math or reading intervention block. And so that plan might reflect that level of instruction. So again, There are some students who are on attendance plans because of poor attendance or lateness to school. And so depending on the student, some students may have 1, 2, or 3 plans depending on the needs of that student.
That's a good thing though. So PBIS with DCIU, you said it was 80% of what? What was the 80%?
So in other words, that particular was looking at the percentage of staff who believed that the school was implementing PBIS at a high level. So there were several schools that at least 80% of the staff said that the school was implementing PBIS at a high level. So I forgot what the exact Likert scale indicators were, but at a high level.
So are they still dealing with conflict resolution?
So yes, there's still some of that taking place at some schools in terms of restorative practices. As an example, Chester High is utilizing youth court. They've made some adjustments, but youth court is continuing as well. And some schools have different other interventions that they're using.
Is DCIU still involved?
I think there was a conversation recently about some schools needing additional training, so there are some conversations around those schools who need like booster level training.
Because I know they've been involved.
Yeah, that grant is expiring
Okay.
at the end of the year, so. But Toby Farms and ESA are participating in that.
Did they get the final year? Wasn't it a 3-year program?
It was a 3-year program, yeah.
So this is the end of the 3 years?
Yep.
I would be curious to know how that's working.
That can be a follow-up, of course.
Thank you.
The 80% for the PBIS, do you have, is that overall, a total overall, or is that 80% of each building is saying that they believe the PBIS is effective?
80% at 3 of our buildings of the staff indicated that it was being implemented at a high level.
And the other buildings?
So the other buildings varied, so they were all above 60%. Some buildings were new in terms of PBIS training, and so those schools, we would expect that, you know, year 1, that there might be some growth areas, but there are, again, at all the schools, it's evident, it's just whether or not it's evident at a high level, and there's a pretty strict rubric that's used as a part of that survey, and then, as I mentioned on March 12th, those schools are getting some additional support in terms of strengthening implementation.
You don't have to tell me the schools right now, but I will ask at another date, but the schools that have the lower PBIS approvals, do they have greater or lesser behavior problems overall?
That's a really good question. I would say it varies. There are some schools that have some behavioral challenges and have low implementation rates, and that's part of the work that we're doing with those schools. But then there are some schools that don't seem to have a high behavioral challenges, but the implementation rate might be different this year if there's been like a change in leadership or some other factors that may have contributed to that, or it might be also changes in staffing overall. Yes.
You mentioned weekly monitoring. Is there a monthly report available or a semester end report available?
For
the monitoring that you do weekly?
Are you referring to the intervention plans?
Yes.
So there are, so the answer is yes. That comes in different formats though. So one of the formats is whether or not the plans are updated, which is important because we want to make sure they're updated. The second part is looking at the total number of plans. And then the third part would be looking at the specific data sources that I mentioned. That requires a little bit of adjustments of the data, but all those things are available, yes.
So that's something that can be produced in a report that the board can digest?
Yes, it would just take a little bit of conversation around what specific items you would want in that report. But yes, that's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one more. So, Mr. Bell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you for having me tonight. Wanted to present from the athletics department. Just want to give updates on the athletic department. What we have is a live website, chesterclippers.com. This is updated every day. 24 hours. If we get an update in regards to what athletics are doing, you can check out on ChesterClippers.com any updates, results, schedules. We have box scores for our boys and girls basketball program, the updates that we have thus far in regards to girls basketball. They had a game on yesterday, second round playoffs. Didn't win the game, however, I have a playback on Saturday. Love to see faces there at the game. 2 p.m. Chester Clippers TV, it's televised there. We also have, a lot of our updates on Chester Clippers Shipyard. That's run by our athletic department, that we update every day that we can on what our student athletes are doing. Our girls track program, indoor, have medaled in districts. In 2 weeks, March 1st, they'll be in their state meets. So my hope is that we can have that televised on our website. I'll get more information into that. Spring sports are underway, so I just ask that we stay tuned to ChesterClippers.com for all of those updates. That's a live website. Again, everything that we do is on the website, from schedules to results, who our staff are.
Buying tickets?
Buying tickets, absolutely. So all of those things are available because we know that there's so many. We even get on our live broadcast, we'll get people that will say, buy your tickets here, but there's a scam. So therefore, we put everything on ChesterClippers.com, so it's a legit tab that you can click to get the tickets. In regards to the washer and dryer, I wanted to get back to that situation. So myself and Mr. Robinson, we spoke in regards to how to make that both locker rooms have the same. So if we were to take a tour there, you'll see that both boys and girls locker rooms mirror each other. We have our logo in the same space, our couches in the same space, thanks to Ms. Yarbray and the team to get those items for our student athletes. We have sit-in lockers for both boys and girls programs. But in regards to the the laundry room, there are some things that we got to really get to before putting the equipment there, because the company needs to bring it in and they will actually set it up. However, there are some things that we must address before they do so. But to make it as simplistic as possible, what the boys have in their locker room, the girls have also. We also have in our cheerleading locker room, we just had it renovated, if you will, new paint. To some cabinets we got to remove and some that need to come into that space. But for the most part, what we do for one, we got to do for the other. But just wanted to give an update on the athletic department. Everything we do is live, and you can see it on ChesterClippers.com.
Is that an S behind Clippers? Or?
That is correct.
Chester Clippers. Chester Clippers.
All one word.
Okay.
.com. Yep.
And then the shipyard, there's another word?
That is actually on Facebook. And so we get we do our very best to put it out there for people to follow our student athletes. We'll get posts that we'll present when we hear information just to update the community on what's going on. A lot of things that we do, the flyers, the imaging, those things are to put our student athletes at the forefront. So ChesterClippers.com and also Chester Clippers Shipyard on Facebook. And we also have an Instagram page that you can follow. It's Clipper_athletes. And so a lot of their images, because we know our student athletes, that's their platform, and they love to see their images. Any questions? Yes.
Go ahead. Could you tell us, do we have any additional programs other than the traditional ones that we may not know about?
In regards to athletics or activities?
Athletics.
So we do have spring, the implementation of girls flag. That's a hot topic right now. PIAA has just passed the girls flag football programs across the state for them to participate. We do have 24 young ladies that are now on the team, coached by Mr. Anthony Moss. The young ladies are excited. So we have girls flag when we're talking spring. Our hopes are to get softball off the ground. We've had young ladies that spoke about softball. That's not a program that you would just literally jump into because it's technique that's involved there. We had boys tennis this spring, which we haven't had that in some time. So our tennis program is coming back in spring, girls flag, of course, boys and girls track. Boys volleyball, they don't participate so much in that, so they don't want to wear that uniform. But we got to make it attractive for them to come out. So if we can change the uniform, possibly we can have young men to come out for that sport.
So no volleyball right now?
Volleyball for young men, no. So the boys' volleyball program is in the spring. The young ladies is in the fall. So we do have fall for young ladies, yes.
Baseball?
Baseball, absolutely.
We have baseball?
We do.
Okay. Is there any way we could, I mean, I know we don't have a pool, but is there any way we can partner and have a swim team?
Great question. There's been some legwork in regards to trying to establish that partnership with Widener. In a conversation I had with their aquatics director, there's so many programs already utilizing the space, so that may, you know, we need to push there to get space for that. But however, we need to start at the elementary level so they can learn how to swim. There's some liabilities there if a child comes, you know, they don't know if they can swim or not. So there's a lot of things that we got to do prior to them even getting to the facility to swim. I did reach out to Ridley YMCA for the same, you know, type of service. The holdup there is the transportation. We will have to bus so many kids to that location, and they already have, you know, so many activities going on. But that's definitely a program that we want to see.
How about the school on Concord Road? Northern? Yeah.
That's something I can reach out and inquire about.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Yes.
Thank you.
The reason I was asking about the washer and live thing is I was just wondering if one of your athletes came to you and say, hey, I need to wash my clothes and I can't do it at home. Would that be?
Now, I hope I don't even sound facetious at all. That's a no-brainer. That's something that we would take care of. Of course, our young people come to us in discretion or in confidence and say, hey, I got this issue, and we don't even think twice. You know, we've had team managers that, you know, have to, not to put anyone out there at all, but we've had some questions like that already. And so we definitely address that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Any more questions?
Thank
you so much.
So at this time, we're going to have Director Morales give her legislation report.
Good evening, and apologies for being late. This report is very long, but I'm going to try to condense it. I sent it out in an email so that you all can read whatever is not presented here tonight, and if you have any questions, you can ask me later. But the governor gave his budget address. Surprisingly, he didn't sway very far from the request that he made last year as far as it concerns funding for education. So if everything was to stay the way that, if the budget was to pass as he's requested, we will only see like a $1.9 million decrease in the overall funding that we receive next year. But we still have the additional increase to basic education. There would be an increase for special education for us. There would be still the $5.5 million adequacy gap payment we will receive, and $2.1 million for charter reimbursement and savings. What we wouldn't see is the funding that was allocated this year for school safety and mental health. That was not part of the budget that he presented, but it is something that we are going to advocate for once we start our advocacy season, and also for them to implement into the budget this year that the payments are over the 7 years, so that every year we don't have to keep going and asking for the money. Some legislative changes that occur, of course, we all are aware of the executive orders that are coming down. At this point, the only one that would have some type of effect on our advocacy is the request that the president made for states to find ways to redirect federal funding or tax funding to broaden private choice. So Right now, we've been able to hold off on that in Pennsylvania, but it's a little bit different when you have the president asking for states to look into ways to divert those funds. We have House Bill 233 that was introduced that requires charter board representation, school board representation on any charter school board that operates in the school district. So if that was to pass, it would be required that we have in every charter school a school board director from the elected school board in the district. There is a bill that has been recommended to the House Appropriations Committee addressing eating disorders in school. This would be another mandated thing that the schools have to take care of with no funding attached to it, so I'm sorry about that. A mandate for cursive handwriting has made it to the House Education Committee. Extending school budget lines is something that's up now, and that's been referred to the House Education Committee, which would give school districts an additional 30 days to submit their budgets. House Bill 46 has been referred to the House Education Committee and is to increase access to pre-K for PA kids. House Bill 130 is a bill that has been referred and is to effectively allow the education money to follow the child. This could be a good and a bad thing for our district because essentially it would mean that if a student was in a parochial school or anything like that, we would not be the recipients of the money for that child. Like it would be almost like charter, how we pay the charter school for each student. That would happen in every aspect of where our children would be at in the district. So it's not really a good thing. We don't need to give away any more money. Then we have House Bill 338, which is cyber school attendance accountability. So it would be that's also been referred to the House Education Committee, holding cyber charter schools as a more stringent level for the attendance. Like right now they have only have to see the child 2 days a week face on the camera, right? So how do you know that the child is actually participating the other days? The camera could just be on. Removing lead from drinking water. This would allow for funding for this, which is really good because we are working collectively with Swarthmore on a lead task force for the city of Chester. And so this would hopefully allocate some funding that we could use towards that if it was passed. These are the last three. House Bill 342, teaching mindfulness in schools, which again would be another mandate on schools with no funding attached to it. Then we have Senate Bill 28, which is Black Studies in K through 12 curriculum, which has been referred to the Senate Education Committee for PDE to direct and own a curriculum, a universal curriculum on Black Studies that each school district will have to follow. And then Senate Bill 77, which has been referred to the Senate bill with mandate mental health days for students. So at least 3 mental health days that students could take instead of just not being present in school. That's what I have right now. The next one's probably going to be just as long, but these are this is what's happening right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director McGovern.
So with DCIU, there's been approval for new board members for those who did not choose to go for re-election. And then there was approval of educational programs as well as academic professional development within various districts. I'm sure that we are part of that by the DCIU staff as considered contracts for those services. They're having their national conference in Atlanta, Georgia. There's concern about the things that Board Member Morales spoke on with regards to the choice, but You know the mandate that the president has, that he wants you to identify with the sex that you were born. And there's some issues behind that with safety that school districts are having to deal with, and his wanting to divert money for early childhood education. There are concerns. I'm sure we're all dealing with them.
All right, thank you. So at this time, we are going, do you have anything? I thought I heard you.
No, I said thank you, but I will share something briefly, and it's just around policy. So the team will begin the process of review of policies, and we're currently working to get a few interns to support this effort for the district. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, at this time, I am going to ask Mr. Rodkey to come on up, and he has some information to present to us. He is no stranger to our community, but I will let him speak.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Tucker Rodkey. I'm the Executive Director of Legacy Arts Chester. We are a mentoring arts-based organization here in the community. We've been around since 2018, 2019. We've had about 100 families come through our programs, and I won't go over everything that you have in front of you. You guys can read that in your own time and see what we're about, but our main thing is that we mentor our youth, we advocate for their success, we invest in their skills, and we nurture their minds. And so we have art programming that we provide for students in the community for 1st grade through 12th grade, completely free. We don't charge anybody a cent. We have kids from every single school in the Chester community that attend our programs over at the Cultural Arts and Technology Center. And we've been seeing incredible impact in the lives of students through this, through long-term relational mentoring, through helping them work through just personal challenges, but using creativity to do it. On page 3 of one of these handouts, you guys can see just the impact that arts programming has in communities for kids' mental health, for just life in general, for their creativity, for job skills, things like that. The main reason that I'm here tonight is to, number one, introduce myself to you so that when you see my name, you can put a face to the name, you guys have my contact information, but also just introduce our program to you and offer us as a resource for all of you and everybody else in the room for what we do and what we can provide. Our goal is to be a resource for the school district to provide support in art programming in the district. We all know that if there are budget cuts to be made, it always seems to start with the arts because that's like the first thing to go. And so what we do is we have completely independent funding from individual donors, from grants, from community organizations. We don't rely on the school district for funding. We don't rely on the community for funding. It's entirely supported from outside the community and offered as a resource. So as an example, like we just connected with Toby Farms. We'll be working with their truancy days to prevent truancy by providing free art programming for any kids that need it. For any kids that are in Chester High that maybe they don't have their spot in sports and they can't find it in different areas, connecting them to art programs where they have a place where they are empowered, where they belong, where they are loved. And we're starting to see just tremendous things happen with the kids that are coming into our programs. As I've had kids now that I received in like 4th grade that are in juniors and seniors in high school. They've moved from being students coming in with severe anxiety, severe depression, behavioral issues, that now there are student leaders and teachers and instructors. So we take them on, we hire them, we train them to empower them to be the leaders of the next generation, because we believe that our students can change the legacy of our community. We just have to empower them to do that. So like I said, we have programming, 4 different programs for 1st through 12th grade. Makerspace is our elementary program. Then we have our art club program, which I just came from, that's why I have paint all over me, where we had 25 kids running around having a great time creating. I had like 8-year-olds learning 1-point perspective and crushing it. It's fantastic. Studio arts program where kids learn specific mediums, work through those mediums, where they build a portfolio that is, if you don't know this, the kids in our program are above average in the creative fields, especially in visual art. Like, I can put any kid in our program up against any kid in any other school district, and they will, I don't want to say they'll crush them, I'll just say they're pretty phenomenal. One of our students was recognized by the top colored pencil artist in the world, recognized for her skills. Like that's the level of talent we have in our kids and in our community. And then finally, we have portfolio prep where we help kids prepare portfolios as they apply for colleges and college scholarships. And our goal is just to empower and equip and partner with everyone that we can in the community. So I just want you guys to know who we are. Understand that I'm here to support the school board, support the district, support any other programs that we can, because I believe that working together is how we move forward, right? It's not operating in silos, it's coming together as a community. So I just want to introduce myself and our program to you, and now that you've got a brief description of what we do, are there any questions about what we do, or thoughts, comments, concerns, anything I can answer for you during this time?
My niece is in your program.
Yep. Pretty great.
Yeah, she's very, very great. But I just wanted to know about the transportation, because you may have students who want to participate, but if it's only after school and it's off school property, if that's the only offering for them, they may not be able to take advantage of that opportunity. So do you offer any type of transportation, or is there any way that the program could be brought into the schools as an after-school program on some days, or what is the flexibility for them?
Yeah, so as we all understand, the limitation is only resources, not a lack of desire. So our limitation is simply our volunteers and transportation capabilities. So one of the issues, we used to provide transportation, but one of the issues that we would face, which I'm sure everybody here can empathize with, was volunteers showing up. They would go to the school to pick up the kid wouldn't be there. And they would keep doing that week after week, and eventually the volunteers were like, why am I doing this? The kid's not showing up, and then you have people dropping off and things like that. So our goal eventually would be to be able to provide transportation. So that's not something we're capable of right now. As far as providing programming in the schools itself, we're starting to explore those options. We're definitely open to those discussions. The main reason that we currently don't have that set up was simply because we had too much interest from too many schools, or too many kids from too many different schools that wanted to be a part of it, and we couldn't do 8 different programs. We could do one that they could attend. So those are things that we would like to do, but aren't able to offer right now.
The days and times?
So our Makerspace and Studio Arts program is on Tuesdays, 4 to 6. And then Studio Art, or Art Club, is Thursdays from 4 to 6. Saturday is Portfolio Prep in the morning from 9:30 to 11:30.
And you've been here since 18, you said?
2018.
2018? And
Yep.
where's the location?
The Cultural Arts and Technology Center on 4th Street.
The market.
It's above the Marketplace. Chester's secret hidden gem.
Okay, no doubt. That's why, I'm familiar with it. I just didn't miss it.
Yeah, so each year not each year, but basically every other year we add another programming day or time for the kids. So we started with just Art Club. It started with like 3 kids, and then that filled up, so then we added in Studio Art because they all grew up and grew into that. But as we grow and as more funds come in, we're open to offering more days and more times. Like we just were selected for the Pennsylvania Delaware Estuary Artist Residency Program. So that brings in like $30,000 that we use for programming, another $12,000 for supplies that we can use for public art, different things like that. It's going to be sweet.
Check it out. So there's going to be a mural somewhere?
Yeah, so for that project, we're creating a public arts piece. We have a bunch. There's like one on the 3rd floor here. There's some at the Boys and Girls Club. We've got stuff all over the community. We're in the early stages of planning that project. We'll have community meetings over at City Hall, at different locations with like Making a Change group, with the CAT, with different community groups, where as a community we'll design the public arts piece and install it either as a mural or a 3-dimensional immersive thing. We've got lots of ideas. It's more of we got to narrow down which ideas we want to pursue. So we've got lots of cool stuff going on. Go visit the Union Stadium. You'll see some of our art over there as well. Get around. Any other questions I can answer for anybody?
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, I believe that was all our presentation for our directors, from our teachers. So I'm going to ask Ms. Arnold to come on up, and did you want to present something to us or share something with us?
Thank you so very much. About a month ago, several weeks ago, I called because there was some extremely growing concerns that I was hearing about for the safety of the students and the staff at Toby Farms. In times past, I've talked about having sufficient number of security officers at our buildings, and I know we had done some hiring. However, in the recent past, we had one security person at Toby Farms, and one of our climate managers, I think, was out on medical leave, and I think that resulted in one person physically on the grounds at the time. That may have been a contributing factor, but my serious concern was that I was hearing about the safety of our students and staff at Toby Farms. Property was being damaged, persons were being wounded, and instruction time was being compromised significantly. And I know that we have seen situations like that occur in our district from time to time. And my concern was, in what ways could we come together, have some discussions, identify contributing factors, and really put in place an operative that would correct this situation. And so after I had talked to, I think maybe, I don't know if I talked to you, Mrs. Neal or Mrs. Johnson, my question tonight would be, after some time has elapsed, I would like to know if you've been able to take any action in that regard, because we cannot have a school operating in that kind of condition, because it does not help us fulfill the goals for which we exist. I'll say it that way. So if you could give me any kind of feedback, any kind of responses at this point, I would appreciate it. I know the community would appreciate it, and I know the family at Toby would appreciate it.
So, Ms. Arnold did reach out, so we don't do comments because we're not making any decisions, but she had a concern, so we did give her this opportunity to present it. So she reached out to us before today. So I just want to make sure we know that this is not a comment. This is more of her wanting to share something with the board. And we do want to hear from the community, so that's why we gave her this opportunity. When you reached out to me, I did let everyone know that you had a concern, and Receiver Nichols said that he was going to be looking into it and get a response for you. So that was the answer, but we will stay on top of it. Because you presented to us, we will stay on top of it, but that does have to come from him. But he is aware that you would like a response from that.
So wouldn't that be directed toward our superintendent?
Well, no, the Receiver Nichols was the one that responded, so I know that it was we was going back and forth a lot. And I know he said, hold off, let her present, and then just, he would give a response.
And also, if you would like to know more about what we're doing in the district, Ms. Vicks, please feel free to reach out to her if you would like to meet with our team to actually talk about what we're doing. You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
You know how important this is. And so, yes, taking action to rectify the situation and really letting the public know that, and really just creating that environment that everyone needs at Toby is critically important. I don't want to beg the issue, and I will end my comments here, but thank you for letting me at least say this much publicly tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That will end our discussions. Are there any other comments from the board or staff? Okay. So we do want to congratulate Jemiah and Imani, the Chester High Clippers Chester High Lady Clippers who joined the 1,000 Point Club. So we definitely want to let them know that kudos to you ladies. And I know that you got ladies have been rocking it out. So
See you on Saturday.
and the National Honor Society applications are now out.
Yes.
They're out, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we were told that there are a lot of students that could qualify. They just need to put in the application, so please get the word out regarding that. Other than,
Yeah. The students are responding at STEM.
awesome, awesome. All right, can I get a motion to?
So moved.
Second motion yet. Done.
Second. Meeting adjourned.
Excuse me, I have something to drop.